Thank you, Carrie. Very kind words, I appreciate it. Good evening. Firstly, I'd like to thank the Board of Directors of the Elgin Sports Hall of Fame for honoring me with this award. Anytime you are recognized by your hometown, it gives more meaning to someone like me. Since this award is the Vic Masi Service Award, I'd like to reflect back on the person who was named after for a moment so we don't forget who he was. How many people here knew Vic Masi and what he did for our community, let alone the sports community? Can I see a quick show of hands of anybody who remembered Vic? Thank you. I'm sure he'd appreciate that. Vic dedicated his personal life for the betterment of sports in Elgin, whether serving as the Assistant Director of Parks and Recreations, expanding summer softball leagues, basketball leagues, or the newly formed Spartan Meadows Golf Course when that opened. Vic also made his mark covering sports on WRMN to the community of Elgin, covering Elgin High football and basketball games. Many Elginites gathered around their radios to hear Vic and Red Masi describe the games. Who doesn't recall the accurate description of those exciting games, home and away? He also worked at the YMCA embracing youth and YMCA activities. I vividly recall Vic escorting groups to Cubs and White Sox games. There he took time to teach me how to keep score the right way. To this day, I look over at people keeping score, and if you can believe this, to see if they are doing it the right way. The way Vic taught me, not surprisingly, not too many people are doing it right. Adding to my thoughts of giving yourself with service, it comes along with a family who have dedicated much of their lives within service groups. First, my grandmother, my wife, my sister, Sue, and she has outdone all of them. Right now, she's poking her husband, wondering if I'm making a dig at her. But a person I want to reflect on is one who hardly anyone knows, but did nothing but give of herself in her own way. She came to this country from Switzerland, knew no English, and learned it by reading the Courier News. For much of her life, she worked at the Larkin home. She also helped my family with many domestic duties, as well as babysitting for my sister and myself. She used to make by hand over 100 pairs of mittens for all the children at the Larkin home, protecting them each winter. One of the things she did with me while she was in our home was asking me to try on a pair of mittens with the excuse, there's a boy just your size, I want to make it right. I took the bait every time. Sure enough, when Christmas came around, there was a small box she always gave to me, and every time I'd open it, and inside were a pair of mittens, along with 2 quarters, and she'd always say, Mark, it isn't much, but it comes from the heart. It isn't much, but it comes from the heart, something I always remembered. My fortunate path to sports involved a lot of luck and coincidence. I never made a basket, never scored a touchdown, never got a hit, but I sure wanted to. Truth be told, I'm jealous of each and every one of you who were given the ability to accomplish that. To hear the roar of the crowd, for you it must have been an awesome feeling. I fell in love with sports by attending Elgin High basketball games. There was nothing better to stand in line in the cold weather to get the first tickets to run in and sit in the balcony, rushing to get that first row corner seat. I was lucky enough to be influenced by my mother at that time, who had season tickets and took me to the games. She was a true sports fan and wasn't shy about letting anyone know what she knew. Pizza cheese, I guess. I truly believe in all my travels into gyms across the country, nothing beat the atmosphere of games at that gym. Add to that the ratcheted up excitement of the insane rivalry after Larkin opened up. It was wild at those games and leading up to the games. Few may remember the pranks students did to other schools, to each other's school. Elgin would break into Larkin and paint part of the gym floor maroon, and a few Larkin students broke into Elgin High and borrowed the conference pennants that were hanging on the walls. So what do you do with someone like me who has no ability to participate? It started in ninth grade with a basketball coach and gym teacher, a guy named Kovacs. Gently gave me a handpiece from the Kramer Company program to become a trainer. At least he didn't laugh when I asked him about going out for the basketball team. It opened up a door for me to provide a service of taking care of basic medical needs for the Larkin teams and then being on the sideline or bench and part of the team. After high school, I thought those days were over. However, through a series of coincidence and a dorm mate, Tom, who was a best friend to this day, mentioned to the assistant trainer who had a connection through Sherman Hospital that I was on campus. At the time, Tom was working out as he was a professional baseball player. The assistant trainer, he told Tom to send me over because he thought I could help. Tom also showed me by giving someone a nickname, it could make them feel important and liked. He gave me one that stuck. Perhaps I gave you one and many others that I bestowed on players over the years. Well, I did get a chance to be a trainer there, and oh Lord, did it open up a whole new world to me. Here I was, just a kid from Larkin, working with great athletes and traveling with their basketball, football, and baseball teams all over the country, providing the service that I could to Olympic athletes, one who set a world record at the time in the 100-meter dash, as well as future major leaguers, and of course, the infamous Randy Bingaman. I loved being in the training room. It was my domain and my private one-on-one time, understanding the mental psyche of each athlete. They were much more open and vulnerable to talk to me in that setting. I recall one coach asking one of his high school football players how things were going with me as the trainer. He asked why. After a moment, he said, "I like him because he makes me think." I thought, yeah, it's working. That was one of the most satisfying compliments I ever received. Tom's dad, a successful IHSA Hall of Fame high school basketball and baseball coach himself, taught me good life lessons over Sunday night dinners at their family house. I picked up from him that you can look at sports as a microcosm of life, if you will. I saw firsthand racial incidents in that conference his team played in, and through my minor league baseball travels. There was one basketball game at a rival high school that chanted racial slurs at one of his players as he shot a free throw. Another one happened when I was in baseball. We stopped to eat at a restaurant, and two black players that were on our team were not getting their order taken until I moved over to their table and demanded service from the waitress. This was not an isolated incident, but one that profoundly made a lasting impression on me. It led me to the chance to work for the St. Louis Cardinals in the minor leaguers. I'm having one dinner one night with Ken Boyer, and after games having drinks with Joe Ducky Medwick. I had to shake myself. Another day I'm in the Cardinals training room with Lou Brock and Bob Gibson telling me to get off my rear and help them. Are you kidding me? This little guy from Elgin is working with these guys? Top off by knowing one of my athletes made it to the Super Bowl. Another one calling me the night that his team won the World Series, thanking me for not letting him quit. Least I forget the one who became a doctor and probably saved my life recently. Finally, I get to come home. I was privileged to help the St. Edward's High School. I love my time there, especially the bond that was developed with the athletes. Some have become lifelong friends. They even wrote a song about me. That followed by me working at Streamwood High School and working with old college friends that coached, especially a guy who's been a true friend through thick and thin. Thanks, Kerry, for always having my back. As Streamwood was a brand new high school, they formed a dynamic, fun, and young staff. I don't want to single out individuals, but I would be remiss if I did not tell the gratitude I have to Tom Yor, Bill Du Bois, Dave Smiley, and most of all, Glenn Losey. A class act through and through. He tells stories to die for and an infectious laugh that would always make one smile. Plus, I found a longtime friend who was part of the Fourth Estate. Thank you, John. To top it off, the Elgin Girls. Who knew I'd fall in love with helping my lifelong friend, Lee Turek, who trusted me with the finest group of ladies he ever had. Yes, I've had a wonderful life in sports without my mother, who always encouraged me to find my place in the game. My wife, Liz, who allowed me to be me. And yes, folks, I outkicked my coverage getting her. Plus, she gave me a beautiful daughter, Katie, her great husband, Kevin, and now the joy of my pal, Johnny. What more can I ask for? All I can say to you is I'm able to provide my skills and service to me along the way. I hope you enjoyed it, the 2 quarters, and I hope the mittens fit. Thank you.